Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Karina, and I am a current student at the University of Notre Dame, where I study neuroscience and theology, and I work as a near P Science intern for the Self-Healing Communities Coalition.
And hi, everyone. My name is Asia. I am a recent alumna of the University of Notre Dame. I also studied neuroscience, and like Karina, I'm a near P Science intern with Self-Healing Communities.
So today we're going to be taking you through the research behind positive and adverse childhood experiences and how they relate to the mission of the coalition. So who is Self-Healing Communities? We are a coalition in the greater Michiana region that is seeking to affect community change that's rooted in an understanding of the neurobiology of trauma, healing, and human resilience. So we're really trying to create a culture shift in the community where people are showing up for each other in the ways that the human nervous system needs and expects. And these are kind, loving, caring, safe, and stable ways. And the beauty of the coalition is that it's not an organization, so everyone's invited to the table, and we really call upon everyone's strengths that they can contribute, the gifts that they can bring, and the gifts that they are to create this community and culture shift.
So in this video, we want to introduce adverse and positive childhood experiences through the foundational research studies. Then we want to describe the link between PCEs, health outcomes, and resilience. And lastly, touch on how we connect PCEs to self-healing communities of Greater Michiana. To start us off, we think that it's important to introduce the framework of near P science. The research behind near P science is truly foundational to how we understand our work in the community. So let's start. So first we have neuroscience. This is the study of the nervous system, including the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. Then we have epigenetics, the study of how the environment affects the expression of genes during the lifetime. Next, we have adverse childhood experiences. These are those events during childhood that may involve abuse, neglect, and other hallmarks of challenging experiences. Next, we have resilience, a trait of the nervous system, individual, family, and community that corresponds to the ability to respond to stress and challenges. And then lastly, positive childhood experiences. These are those events that promote successful child development through secure attachment. And so we really just want to elevate the importance of acknowledging both adverse childhood experiences and positive childhood experiences. Put together, we refer to it as PCEs. And really an understanding of PCEs that elevates both adverse and positive childhood experiences is critical to our coalition, especially with an understanding that the research behind PCEs is more recent. We really value that it stresses the importance of having those safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and environments.
So I'm going to walk you through the studies that were conducted around ACEs and PCEs. And so the first study that was done was the ACEs study a few decades ago in 1998. And they looked at a predominantly white population in the Pacific Northwest, and the sample size was pretty big, so about 10,000 participants. And they presented a questionnaire that used two large categories of childhood abuse and household dysfunction. So they asked a series of 10 questions relating to before the age of 18. So questions such as, before the age of 18, did you have a parent that was incarcerated? Did you have parents that were divorced? And other such questions. And they correlated those results with mental and physical health outcomes. The more recent study that was done was the PCE study. So that was done in 2015, and it was also predominantly white population, also very big sample size of about 6,000. And they asked 7 questions pertaining to positive experiences in childhood, and they correlated that with mental health outcomes. And so the key difference between the two studies is that the ACEs correlated with mental and physical health outcomes such as obesity, hypertension, and such mental health outcomes such as like depression and anxiety, and the PCEs was just solely with the mental health outcomes. And so I'm going to read through the 7 questions from the PCE study. And so they asked the participants, how often as a child did you feel able to talk with your family about feelings? Feel your family stood by you during difficult times? Enjoy participating in community traditions? Feel a sense of belonging in high school? Feel supported by friends? Have at least 2 non-parent adults who took genuine interest in you? And feel safe and protected by an adult in your home. So your PCE score would be the amount of times you said yes to one of those questions.
So with that understanding of the PCE study, let's take a look at a couple of the major results that the researchers came to. So looking on this left side with the white background, we see that adults with only 0 to 2 PCEs, that is adults who had less positive childhood experiences, reported 4 times more depression / poor mental health than adults who had 6 to 7 PCEs, or those with nearly all or all of those positive childhood experiences Karina just listed. So here we see how pertinent it may be for adults to have these positive childhood experiences, and how this can be correlated with certain mental health outcomes such as depression. Now, if we look at this right side, we wanted to convey this result as a question just to get you thinking about what the researchers found. So, who had the lowest adult depression / poor mental health prevalence? A, adults reporting high PCEs. B, adults reporting no ACEs. C, adults responding always to how often do you get the social and emotional support you need? Or D, A, along with either B or C. I'll give you a second to think about it. So the answer is D. That is adults reporting high PCEs with either no ACEs or an increased sense of having social and emotional support had the lowest adult depression, poor mental health prevalence. So that means that high PCEs was really crucial to getting that outcome, and could be paired with either no ACEs, so less of those adverse childhood experiences, or a greater sense that they're being supported socially and emotionally by people around them.
So with the ACEs study, they found that there was greater risk for negative health outcomes with the higher amount of ACEs you had. So a higher ACE score correlated with a greater risk for negative health outcomes such as increased risk for smoking, alcoholism, and drug abuse, an increased risk for depression and suicide attempts, poor self-rated health, 50 or more sexual partners, greater likelihood of sexually transmitted disease, and challenges with physical inactivity and severe obesity. And so, while that study showed that there's an increased risk, it only showed correlation. So we can't say that a higher ACEs score caused these things, but we can say that there was an increased risk for these things. But the beauty is that it's not a death sentence, or you're not doomed if you have a high ACE score, because there's research that shows that an increased amount of protective factors can help buffer from those effects and those risks that come with a high ACE score. So protective factors are the parts of a person's life that provide a counterbalance to adversity, they foster resilience, and they buffer toxic stress. And so PCEs are a form of protective factors. And so by increasing the amount of PCEs in a community, we can address ACEs and mitigate the risk that comes with having high ACEs. And so some of these protective factors are things such as self-efficacy, stable caregiving, access to safe and nurturing childcare. And so really by elevating these in a community, we can address ACEs.
So that leads us just to emphasizing the importance of integrating PACEs knowledge in our work in self-healing communities. So PACEs as an approach is important to us because it informs us of how to intervene in our community. So first, there are evidence-based practices to help address ACEs, such as trauma-informed care. Likewise, there are ways that we can build up PCEs through resilience building and caregiver practices. Additionally, it may be possible that we can increase the focus on building up those PCEs as a way to reduce and address ACEs. And lastly, interventions that maximize PCEs target the community as a unit of analysis. And that means that, in supporting and promoting those social systems and networks of individuals that are built outside of the home and school environments, we are able to help build resilience, and kind of having that community as a unit of analysis is especially crucial when we're thinking about the self-healing communities framework. So we've reached our last section here, talking about how we apply PACEs to self-healing communities, and what does this look like in our community in Greater Michiana. So we like to separate this idea into three buckets. How does our work involve and integrate PACEs? So first, we really value increasing protective factors. And we know that the best protective factor actually for children is trusted adults. So building up these high quality adult-child relationships are essential components of PCEs and thus of our mission. The next bucket is building resilience. Our near peace science framework that we discussed earlier, it emphasizes the importance of resilience. And now when we connect it to the PACEs research, we can see that PCEs can help build resilience, and in doing so, address the effects of ACEs and kind of build up how we're able to respond to adversity. Lastly, we have supporting community engagement. It's so important that we're able to bring community members together to celebrate each other, our gifts, and kind of the work that we've been doing, while also providing those positive experiences and resources for individuals and families. So these are the major ways that we like to think that PACEs, the science of PACEs is being applied to our community and our mission.
Amazing. So we just want to say thank you so much for being here with us. We hope that you took away even just a little bit of nuggets of learning and wisdom. And we just want to say that you are so important, and we hope that you take some time to celebrate yourself today. Have a beautiful day. Bye.